Hi, welcome to my show where I have guests that are really wonderful, creative, and have interesting stories and are doing great service in the community. Today I have Diane, and I met Diane at the Royal Oak Library, but then came to find out there was previous relationship through her daughter with my niece. Um, we met. I was doing a workshop at the library, and it was changing your narrative or changing your life story. It was a 3-week workshop. And one of the days, she approached me and she said, "Oh, my daughter knows your niece, who's a yoga instructor, and, let's talk about the Path of Consciousness writing and spiritual retreat that I'm having in the fall." She said, "I think I might be able to help you with that." We ended up going out for a lovely, lovely dinner.
Yeah.
I ended up learning so many great things about her. Her resume is very long. And then I thought, you know what? Can you come on my show and share some of, some of your work, and especially this event that she has coming up on May 9th, is it?
Yes,
Okay,
is.
it's called So You Want to Be a Farmer.
Correct.
You can just imagine the fun behind that. So this is why Diane has joined us today to tell us about this event. Please tell us as much as possible about it.
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me onto your show, and I too had a lovely dinner with you. And what I thought was going to be an hour ended up being a 4-hour meal. The restaurant people probably thought we were never going to leave. So, yes, I was hired about a year and a half ago to do integrative wellness programs through the Alliance of Coalitions of Healthy Communities. And one of the things that I like to do, and my only goal actually, is to help people understand natural therapies and natural solutions and natural ways to be healthy. So I work with many target groups and many topics. But one of the things I came to my mind many years ago is I wanted to do a fun program for very young children about healthy eating, learning to grow their own food. To me, learning to grow food, tending to the plants, the soil, understanding the combination of sun, soil. Each plant has its own little particularities that you have to be aware of. I think that builds an inner spirit within a child to know that if I have to be so careful on this plant to grow it so it's healthy, I too need to be careful on how I treat myself, the proper foods, do I brush my teeth. So I just feel like if we start teaching children young about good health practices, they're less likely to maybe do things that are harmful later on. So You Want to Be a Farmer came to my mind many years ago, and I did not have time to do it in my other position. I always got sidetracked. So now this is my only job to do is do these programs like this. So I approached Royal Oak Farmers Market, which I've worked with for years, and asked them if they'd be interested in hosting So You Want to Be a Farmer at the marketplace. So we played around with different time frames, and we decided that corresponding this program with the food truck rally was a good idea, which I do love. I go to the food truck rally, which is the second Wednesday of the month. And what I like about that, it's very community orientated, where there are long tables and people grab some food, they sit down and they see their neighbors, they bring their families. Kids can run around to a degree. I mean, they're not, obnoxious, but they have activities for kids there. They have a singer there. So it's really great community, and I like being there. It reminds me of the, years before, back in the 50s and 40s, when people got together like that. So we decided to have So You Want to Be a Farmer on that particular venue. So it's coming up on May 9th. It starts at 5 o'clock and goes to 8, and it is geared to young children, but families are welcome to come. So I had some goals of what I wanted the children to learn, and I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate that where it's fun learning. So being a teacher, I actually teach a high school student, I'm trying to think about ways I can integrate the two, fun with learning something helpful. So I start coming up with programming idea, and I contacted their local coalition leader. Her name is Lisa, and asked her if she would work with me on this project. Of course, she said yes, because we work on many things together. And we sat down. We came up with, I think, a very dynamic program. We have eight activity sessions that are going on at all times. So people can come to the little area at the farmers market and go from one station to another station to another station and do all these activities. So one of the activities is we're going to have my daughter actually is going to be teaching yoga, and it'll be animal poses. So we have 10 yoga mats, and every 10 or 15 minutes she'll have a different group of kids and walk them through different poses utilizing yoga. So now we're introducing a very helpful practice of kids learning about yoga and how much fun it can be, and all the expressions that they can make, and positions they can put their body.
Well, you know what? I didn't know. Well, actually, no, that was mentioned in there, but now when you're saying it this way, because yoga is an important part of my life, and actually Sandy, my niece, who is a yoga instructor, she's going to be my next guest and going to be talking about the benefits of yoga. But I know that over time, I started off doing classes at Lifetime, but over time they finally recently started doing once a week family yoga. And then I was so happy to see that. And then more recently, they've added another class for the younger, like they separated where the one yoga class is where families come in, and then the other one is just like for kids. And so I thought, wow, this is so great, because I have seen the benefits that yoga did, for me. So so you're going to be having it there, which is so awesome that they're going to be outdoor. And as a leader of a Girl Scout troop, I also introduce the girls and try to introduce them to yoga. And a lot of them haven't done it before, but the fact that they get introduced, I think it seems like that's what you're doing with the farmers market. You're introducing kids to important, very healthy methods that had worked for really like thousands of years. When you were talking about the 50s and the 60s and how it was and how communities, well, my grandparents, they were farmers, and they lived a very healthy lifestyle because of it. They woke up very early in the day. They ate from what the crops that they grew, and it was just such a healthy lifestyle, which did spill over to how the community was behaved toward each other.
My grandparents too, by the way, they lived in Mount Clemens, and they had two properties, and one of the properties was all gardens and fruit trees, canning, and my grandpa, who he was a pipe layer, so he illegally laid pipe from the Clinton River to water their garden. So even though if there was a drought, they had a lot of good vegetables, and they were very proud of that. Every time I'd go there in the summer, I'd get an entire tour of what was coming up and what they're having, and of course composting. I learned so much from them. And then my grandma, at the end, at the harvest, she canned, and she had a utility room with a bunch of cabinets and all the canning. So such good food it was, and then she cooked everything from scratch, and they too were healthy. And both of them, my grandma just missed 100 by a couple months, and my grandpa died at 92. So so I think
there's proof.
Right, there's proof. right there.
Yeah. Well, now that you mentioned their ages, I interviewed in 2012 an 111-year-old Chaldean woman who had she's the second oldest person to get a U.S. citizenship.
Wow.
Yes. So I went and interviewed her. And so our questions, all of the reporters were asking her, but, the question is, how were you able to live so long? And she said, one, work. Second, she didn't go to the doctors. And three was by drinking tea. And I said, well, what kind of work? Because she's 111, and I knew she came from the same village that my parents came from in northern Iraq. which was like there was these Christian villages where they came from. So I was, as women, really. So they said, well, she worked in the fields. And I thought, so it was a special kind of work where you're working with nature and again talking about farming. So they had these fields and they had wheat and they raised all these different, and then they probably also worked a lot of them with cattle. So the whole situation like that is so healthy. Yeah, but that was her secret. And number one being work, but it's that kind of work, because some work will actually get you faster to the doctor than anything. Yeah,
true.
so
yeah. Good for her. Yeah, physical work. Yeah, kept her going. So another activity that we have going on is we have recruited. So I recruited volunteers for each of the activities. I called up 2 women who are master gardeners, and they're coming to lead the station on children planting. They'll be planting seeds, either carrots or tomato seeds. So they're going to show them how to scoop in the dirt, whether you pack it or not, how deep you put the seed. We'll have some topsoil. And then I learned a trick. We're going to have a ketchup and mustard containers like you use at a picnic filled with water, so the children are not clumsy and they can water their plant. So
I gotta do that at home.
Yeah. We have a tarp, so the people who are cleaning are not angry with us with soil all over. So they'll learn about, soil, and they'll learn about topsoil, and they'll learn about you can't put the seed all the way down into the bottom of the cup. It needs a certain amount. And they're going to provide instructions that it needs so much light. So unfortunately, the only portable thing that we could find with a lid on it was styrofoam cups, but then they can put their name on it and they'll be taking that home with them. So they'll be able to take it home, plant it in their soil in their backyard, or plant it into a planter. They live in an apartment, and grow a tomato or grow a carrot plant. So I think that's kind of exciting. That's part of the growing part that I really like. I was very excited at these 2 women. So they're going to come as, everyone's going to dress in farming clothes. And that's why I'm dressed like this.
Yes, and I noticed your hat too.
And I'm going to put my
see
hat
what
on.
that looks like.
And you know what? My grandma,
it.
this was my grandma's hat that I was talking about, that I got for her when she was in her 80s. And because then she was in a wheelchair, and I was pushing her around because she loved the outdoors, and upper 80s, because in her early 80s she was still hiking. Her and I would go hiking, so she was a really strong and rural woman, and I really loved that about her. So this was her hat I gave her, so she wouldn't get the sunlight in her eyes. So I kept it. It was one of the things that.
Did she actually use it? It looks really well kept.
Yeah, I know it is, because she. She only wore it when she was outside,
right?
And and I took it when she passed.
Oh.
And
that's a lovely story.
Yeah. So in fact, this is the first time I pulled it out. Actually, she died in 2003. So,
oh, okay.
Yeah. So I thought, oh yeah. Actually, I have her cowboy hat too that she had, but it's kind of over the top.
Where are they from originally? Your grandparents? Are they?
My grandma was from Belgium, so she went back and forth a couple times. And my grandfather, he was my step grandfather. He was from Scotland.
Oh,
so
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
He looked like Popeye. I don't know if you know who Popeye is,
Yes,
but he looked exactly like him.
Yes, I do. Actually,
Yeah.
I think, not sure, but I think we did watch him back home. I feel like there was a lot of characters that we learned about from, like Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Dallas.
Dallas,
We watched
yeah.
Dallas.
Yeah.
A Little
Little
House.
bit,
Little House on the Prairie. Yeah,
Yeah.
there was some shows that we got to see.
Yeah.
So, and so what else are you guys going to be having?
Well, the second thing, or the third thing I'm going to mention is we have a placemat, and the placemat is shaped as a plate, and it's called My Plate. And the plate design shows you proper proportions of fruits and vegetables that should be on your plate, your protein, your grains, and your dairy. I think I'm missing some. Protein, grains, and dairy. So they are going to have little stickers of fruits and vegetables and dairy and grains, and then they'll be adding it to the plate itself, so the kids can see that individually, you should have more fruits and vegetables on your plate than you should have of proteins and meats and dairy and grains. So after they're done with that, so now they got an idea of fruits and vegetables are separate from proteins and dairy and grain, we are going to have a grocery shopping game. So how that's set up is I don't know if your viewing audience can see these little baskets, but I have 4 of these little baskets, and we're going to have the fruits and vegetables and eggs, things that you would make different meals with, separated. So children will come up and they'll pick a card, and the card will either say, create a healthy breakfast, create a healthy lunch, or create a healthy dinner. And they will have to then take their little basket and go to the little store and pick out the fruits and vegetables and grains and dairy and protein to go in the basket for breakfast or lunch. And then at the end of doing their little selection, there'll be a volunteer there. Her name is Barbara. She will then look at and tell them if they did, of course everyone does a good job. And upon finishing that shopping excursion, they're going to get a little gift card from Kroger's so they can get a free fruit or vegetable from the grocery store. So they're giving us 100 cards so we can gift each of the children with one of those. Again, another reinforcement for fruits and vegetables and meats, proteins and things, and making proper proportions. So to complement the My Plate, the grocery store game, we have a nutritionist. Her name is Julie, and I met her at I was on a core team of the Academy of Integrative Health and Wellness. That kind of now just ended that chapter. Anyways, we were at an event. There was a speaker on natural solutions for GI disorders, and I met her there and found out she lives right by me, and I found out she was a nutritionist. And I said, hey, I need someone to help me. I want to help the kids assemble a fun little healthy snack. And so if you have any ideas to share with me, I'd appreciate that. And if you'd like to volunteer, I would really like that, because she has her own business and coaching people with proper health choices. So she came up with a really cute idea. So there are 2 things that she has created, and we're going to go shopping for the fruits and vegetables. So we're going to make dragonflies out of peppers and peas and
So you're using actual food too.
Yep,
for that.
Okay. And so she'll have it all pre-cut in little cups, and then the kids can assemble it in the plate, and then they can eat it. And then the second, because not everybody's going to like that, so I said we should have 2. We're going to make strawberry and banana kabobs. So
yeah, that's something that I would like.
Right.
Not like more so.
So they can make both if they want to, and then they can go and eat it with their family if they want to. They can stay there and eat it. So that's another healthy food project.
When you're speaking about all of this and then helping them make food in proportions, so I had a conversation, I think a couple of weeks ago, with a nutritionist who was from our health insurance, who is just giving advice about how to create healthy meals with the family. So I said to her, one of the things that I try to do is, I know that sometimes if you try to say no to certain foods, then the kids will have more of an addiction to it,
Right.
kind of that. So you're trying to find a balance, so you don't want to completely deprive them of things, because that's the thing that they'll turn to. So I just try to constantly cook healthy foods, have it. And then when they were younger, they used to like to make food. I would have them more get involved in the kitchen, and then now they're not that much. They're still in elementary school, but they have this way of not wanting to participate. And she gave me an interesting solution. She said, well, keep doing what you're doing. She said, because you'll be surprised how, they do pick it up. But she said what you guys are kind of doing right now is that, she said, the other thing you might want to consider is that use your cookbooks so that together you can pick what you guys want to make. together you make a list. Together you go to Kroger to buy them. And she said their involvement in that will have different on how they will react once they get in the kitchen to start to try to prepare for it, because they're more, they're more part of the process. The fact that they looked through the cookbook and picked something out. And I said, I'll try that, because it did sound like it. When you invest in something, you're more likely. Even I think for kids, once you invest in something and the time and the energy that you put, you might get more excited about doing it. So we have gotten, it's just that we have gotten so far away from some of the natural ways that we do have to try to kind of subtly put the practice back in. And it sounds like that's really what you guys are doing, and it's really wonderful, because I think it will be also a great example. Because when she told me this, I hadn't thought about that. I just figured, okay, they're kind of getting older, they're trying to go on their own, and I had a question of how to bring them back into the kitchen, but I wasn't sure how to do it. And so her advice was really helpful. So I feel that what you're doing is also going to set a good, like educational, even for the parents too, not just for the kids. Yeah.
We're going to provide little recipes for the parents. I'm also having a parent literature table with some very good health tips and healthy children and raising healthy children. And we're providing simple recipes that are tasty, that are healthy, so when they go home they can replicate that with their children. And I'm also providing little websites where there's games for children about farms. I kind of explored all that. And there's some really good websites from on the My Plate to help kids, like you said, get involved physically with the food. And one of the things that was suggested is have them plant a garden, because then they tend to the garden and they become committed to watching it grow, and then hopefully wanting to taste it in all the many different ways you can, add those good foods. I found adding spices, not really dense spices, but lightly spicy herbs, those add a lot of nutrients to your food, and they're hidden. You don't really taste them. Like flaxseed is huge. You don't taste it. It's so good for you. Omega-3s, it's a internal inflammation reducer, and it helps transport cholesterol out of your body. So I put it in a jar, and like I don't use salt anymore, but I'll put it on everything, and there's no flavor change, but it's so good for you. So so there's been studies on kids being involved with their food, and they're more likely to eat it than rejecting that. And beside going to Kroger's, I really like people to support our local farmers by going. There's many more farmer markets now. They're springing up everywhere.
Really?
At least in Oakland County. I have a huge list now, because I'd like to see this program replicated at the other farmer markets eventually as time goes on. So this is the pilot, So I'm going to study to see what resonates with people and what went well. And
well, what do you mean? So, like, what are your plans for this? I mean, do you plan it to do it yearly or more regularly? Or
I don't know. It depends on the interest of people, right? But I customize all my programs. I do programs for, like I just said, young people, and I'm doing programs for adults. And I did a program for brownies. I customize everything. So I just did one 3-part program for. They have a badge called Be a Better Me, and we did all the activities for them to get their badge in that one program.
You know what? That reminds me. I might it might be like one of those last minute things, but I think I'm going to put this out to the Girl Scouts. If they participate, that they can get a badge in this, because I do, I've gotten them involved in yoga, and I try to do healthy things with them. They our next meeting, each one, it's going to be a potluck. and each girl is going to be bringing in a dish that she has to make, pretty much. I mean, with the supervision of the parent, but I don't want where it happened before, where they'll pick something elaborate and it's their parent that's really making it. But I gave specifics that, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be complicated, but it can't be too easy either. I wanted really for them to put some energy and thought into it, because that's how it sparks the creativity. So in our next meeting, we're having the potluck. So maybe and it's next Friday. So this kind of ties in for them to go on Wednesday and to experience what that's like. And then, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to email the parents today. I think they would be excited to know about it.
I think so. Yeah. So, so I am doing programs for families who have a loved one in recovery, and help them understand the biochemistry of stress. Not just hear stress is bad, but what happens in your brain and your body and all your organs regarding stress. I mean, some stress is good, but when it becomes chronic, then that's when it starts inflaming your body and all those chemicals start damaging your organs. So there are ways for you to mitigate or reduce those harmful reactions.
Now, because we only have a few minutes left, how can, regarding the stress or the other programs that you have, how can people find out about that? So we mostly discussed, and I want you to also repeat, please, like the date, the time of the farmers market.
Okay.
And then, but also if you can tell the viewers where they can find more information about your programs.
Okay, well, to finish up our program at Farmers Market, I'm going to finish off with, I think I have covered everything. Oh, design your own farm. We have another like placemat with a picture of a vacant farm, and we have stickers so kids can design their own farm. And then we have story time, and one of our off-duty police officers is coming to read a book on farming, and they're really funny stories. So we had one about how the animals wanted heating blankets for the barn, and the farmer said no, so they go on strike. And the duck becomes the negotiator. It's hilarious, and it reminds me of a union that's being formed. And then there's another one where it says chickens to the rescue, who solve all the problems that go on a farm. And it's hilarious. So anyways, so that kind of encapsulates everything we're doing. Again, it's So You Want to Be a Farmer. It's a free event, no charge. The Oakland County Health Department and our agency, Alliance for Coalitions of Healthy, put money toward that. Plus, we have a lot of volunteers and in-kind contributions.
And that's Wednesday, May 9th from 5 to 8 p.m.
Correct.
At the Royal Oak Farmers
Market. At the Royal Farmers Market on 11 Mile Road.
And we literally have like 30 seconds to go. How can they find out about your other programs?
They can find out about other programs by the website, achcmi.org. And then there'll be a wellness page, and then they can look at that. And all the other programs that are very important that we offer throughout Oakland County.
Thank you so much. I think this is a wonderful program. I look forward to seeing it repeated. And I will be in touch with the Girl Scouts today to encourage them to also attend. And I'm hoping, I don't think I have anything on my calendar, but I was just reading the details of this yesterday, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to see if, I can bring my kids in. I know they would love it. But anyway, thank you so much for providing this service for the community and for all the wonderful things all the wonderful work that you do, which is like countless.
Thank you very much.
So check out her website, and thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next show.
Okay.